Hey, folks! Welcome to the pre-show. Let's say the pre-game, kinda. So just getting set up here, as usual. Quit that, so it doesn't drain all my power. Oh, as usual. I got feedback because I got the YouTube channel on. There we go. What shirt of mine do you have on? King David. Okay, that one's okay because it was a misprint. So, all right, folks. How y'all doing? Good, I hope. I trust. Just trying to get things, some things just shut down. I got a bunch of programs open here, so getting some things put away so they're not all in the way. And boom, we are now on the stream for the radio. Okay, I don't need that right now. Bingo bango. Look at all these buttons I have to click. Plus I got all these dials and things. So, there we go. Let me get my, hey, Chuck Hendrickson. I'm going to get my overlay on, my branding, and now we're ready. We got about 2.5 minutes. No. Yeah, 2.5 minutes. And we're live. My hair's been blowing in the fan, sticking up all over the place. Ready to talk about the moon and some weird stuff? Master Finn, good to see you. Leslie Holker, nice to see you over there. How you doing? Barbie D, David Otness. Who else we got? Niall Parkinson, good to see you, brother. See you on the dark side of the moon, he said. We need some good old 1950s sci-fi music for the background. You know, the kind of goes deep space monster music. Matthew Sainsbury, welcome. Romeldian, good to see you. Just ticking away the time. We got about a minute left before we go live. Let me make sure I got all my junk lined up here. I don't know that we need to do... Yeah, I got Swan's descriptions of Jupiter here. Let's see. I got that I'm going to need to reference. And I got so many notes here. It's unbelievable. It's a great Forbes piece that was entitled, Revealed Why We Should Look for Ancient Alien Spacecraft on the Moon, Mars, and Mercury, according to scientists. All right, guys, we got just a few seconds to go here. So I am going to go dark. Stand by.
Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hire my dad, so he can take me to Disneyland.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the program. This is Scotty Roberts, as usual, your host right here on my show, the Intrepid radio program, here on Odyssey Radio. You can hear this show in its audio format over at odysseyradio.com. And Odyssey spelt a little oddly. See what I did there? ODYSY radio.com. And you can check out Odyssey Radio and all the goodness and all the shows that are over there that you can check out and listen to anytime. And you can also hear the archives of this program airing right now live tomorrow during the day. And so you can also come over and see the simulcast right now in video, or watch it in archive if you'd like, in 4 different places. Count them, 4. 3 of them on Facebook, 1 over on my Facebook page, Mr. Mr.Scotty.Roberts at Facebook, if you're not already a friend of mine over there, and over at the Odyssey Radio page and the Intrepid Radio page, and also over on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. And while you're there, by the way, if you are in the YouTube channel, click on the like button and then click on the subscribe button, or the other way around if you have to. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. And then click on the like button for the show. It helps my numbers there. That's always nice to have that. So what do they say? Crush the like button. So thank you in advance for that. And also, if the dog is running around the studio here like an idiot, you should see her just zip, 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 this little pudgy pug mini English bulldog just running around. That's what all that noise was, if you heard that. So also, if you are here on the YouTube page, just go down here over on the bottom somewhere. There's a little button that says join. You can join the channel. That costs you a little bit. I think it's at anywhere from, I can't even remember, $3 to $15 a month, something like that. You can make a choice, and that helps support this show if you want to do that. Other than that, the show's always free, so you don't even have to join. But if you'd like to, that's helpful. Thank you. Let's move on. Yes, Leslie Holker, that's Lucifer. Spelled it wrong. Here, I'll spell it out in the chat room. It's Lucy, and then in parentheses, fur, like that. That's how we officially spell it on her documentation. So her birth certificate or whatever they have and all that stuff. Lucy Fur. There you go. So welcome to the program. Tonight we're going to be talking more about weird stuff, woo stuff, conspiratorial stuff. This whole idea of what why do I always go blank on his 4-letter name? Not Igor, not Ingor. I always go blank on. It's a mental block I've got on his name. Ingo, Ingo, Ingo Swann, and his remote viewing that he did of for the U.S. government, and some very clandestine stuff in the early 70s and throughout the 70s, I think. And he wrote a few books, and he wrote about this after they told him you can't talk about this for 10 years. So he wrote some books, and so we're going to dig into that a little bit more. And the first thing I want to do, though, I called up this article that is from all places, Forbes magazine. Now, you know Forbes, financial stuff, Forbes 500, top 500 companies and things like that, Fortune 500, things like that. And so they're a financial and a political site. Well, they have an article in their science category. And this was from 2021, last year, May. And the title of this article is Revealed: Why We Should Look for Ancient Alien Spacecraft on the Moon. Mars, and then they add, and Mars and Mercury, according to NASA's scientists. So, from UFO crash sites on other planets and aliens lurking on asteroids to a permanent radio telescope on the far dark side of the moon, a new NASA-funded study into the search for intelligent extraterrestrial life, that's SETI, search for extraterrestrial intelligence, details how future NASA missions could purposefully look for the techno-signatures of advanced civilizations. Now, does that surprise you? In a culture where we have diminished, spirituality. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people are spiritual. A lot of people have their spirituality. A lot of people have their faith beliefs in their particular religions or denominations. But overall, you've noticed we are a secular society. We are not a society that thrives off of a belief in any certain God. And of course, our Constitution says you can't favor one over the other. Religion, it says. But there was a solid belief in God or a God by the founders. All of that aside, constitutionally speaking, we've got a secularized society that doesn't seem to want to hold in high regard anything that has to do with our spirituality. And so along with that, believe it or not, it's not just about religion. It's about the spiritual things, the things that are outside the realm of the normal or the natural or the day-to-day life. So when you start talking ghosts, you start talking the paranormal, start talking UFOs and alien abductions and the possibility of extraterrestrial life, everybody, at least in the last few decades, people have been kind of poo-poo that. And whatever. That's weird, woo-filled shit is what they'll tell you. Now, that tide is starting to turn a little bit. And frankly, I am going to put this squarely in the camp of television shows, pop culture. Shows like Ghost Hunters, which debuted in 2003. So you're talking, what is that, 19 years ago? 19 years ago. When that show came out, it was fringe, it was weird, it was woo. Now I think shows like that and all the other shows, Ghost Adventures, other shows that you've seen that have accumulated over the years, and it's become part of the pop cultural bubble. Let's take it out of the bubble stance. Pop culture in general, people have started to become more accepting of that. And they've seen that, yeah, there is shit like that goes on. And so we've started to see that door crack open a little bit. And so now the same thing with this whole thing about alien life. We always saw that as a cool thing, was the Star Trek stuff, the Outer Limits, if you're a little older, all the sci-fi movies we've had. We mentioned the other night how it seems that we used to talk about this 20, 30 years ago. Can you believe, by the way, that movies like Independence Day with Will Smith and all the other actors that were in that, I can't think of all the names off the top of my head. Jeff Goldblum was in that. But Independence Day, that came out in 1992. That's 30 years ago that movie came out. That's crazy. Feeling old now? Well, even then, when that movie was coming out and other movies like that, and we kept seeing all these dystopian future movies in the pop cultural realm, we used to sit around and muse over whether or not, and when I was doing radio, I started radio in the year 2000. We used to talk about this and muse over the fact that it seems like something's behind this rise in the pop culture. It's the way that, I guess, the governments or the Illuminati or whoever is easing the general public mind into the acceptance that there are things like this out there. And pop culture can do that. And so, you see what Niall was saying there. I thought it was in response to what I said. So with all of that going on, I think people have been softened to this. And now you've got places like Forbes magazine, a financial magazine it started as. Remember, Steve Forbes ran for president in 2000. He was trying to get the Republican nod, and then Bush got it instead. Bush 2. W. And so in their magazine, he says, described as evidence for the use of technology or industrial activity in other parts of the universe, the search for techno-signatures has barely begun, but could unearth something surprising without much additional spend, says the study. So after more or less ceasing its search for techno-signatures in 1993, after pressure by politicians, NASA has become now, in the last couple of years, even more increasingly deeply involved with SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. So, published in the specialized journal Acta Astronautica, the study included a list of what's NASA's missions could detect as observational proof of extraterrestrial life beyond Earth. And perhaps most intriguingly, the paper suggests that interstellar probes might have been sent into the solar system a long time ago, perhaps during the last close encounter of our sun with other stars. We keep hearing things, we get messages. Oh, remember that probe that was sent out 48 years ago? No, I don't remember that. In the mid-70s or something like that. They were sending probes out. Well, the whole thing with the whole premise of, remember Star Trek, the motion picture? The first time they had gone from the series, 12 years later, did the first movie they were all in. In 1979, that came out. And it was all about Voyager, the Voyager probe that we sent out. And the information had accumulated over 200 years. So, the closest star to the sun right now, Proxima Centauri, is over 4.2 light years distant. But roughly every 100,000 years, a star comes within nearly a light year from the sun. Now, a light year is a year, what it takes to travel at the speed of light. So 4.5 years, 4.2 years away. There have therefore been tens of thousands of opportunities for technologies similar to ours to have launched probes into our solar system. And that's according to this paper. And such artifacts might have been captured by solar system bodies into stable orbits, or they might have crashed on planets, asteroids, moons, reads the paper. Bodies with old surfaces such as those of the moon or Mars might still exhibit evidence for such collisions. And so the paper's 9 suggestions for techno-signature hunting missions include these. Mission 1, search for crash sites on the moon, on Mars, on Mercury, or Ceres. Why do you think we're sending all these probes out to these planets? Is it just to find out what kind of gas they're made out of? It's exploration, yes, but there's something behind that. The surfaces of all these planets and all these places are ancient and unchanging, and evidence of impacts or existing artifacts might be preserved for between millions and billions of years. So we should scan the moon and Mars in these ultra-high resolution situations, which we've started to do. Mission 2, look for pollution using Earth as a template. So it's recently published for NASA by the same authors, the JWST could find CFC gases, proof of civilization. That's what that means. Around exoplanets. If it was 10 times more common than on Earth, it could also find nitrogen dioxide, NO2, produced as a byproduct of combustion or nuclear technology. So they're looking for that. Mission 3, search for Dyson spheres, a so-called waste heat emission to pick up technological waste heat. Could require an all-sky survey using a space telescope with sensitivity at many infrared bands. Why do you think we've seen all the images over the last few weeks of the new telescope that's out there, the Webb telescope? Do you think we're just doing that so we can see bigger and brighter and more highly resolute images of stars? I think it's part of the search. Well, it's obviously part of the search. Mission 4, build a radio telescope on the moon's far side. The search for technosignatures so far have been conducted largely via radio astronomy, and it continues to be so via the Breakthrough Listen project. However, a permanent dish on the radio quiet far side of the moon would be free of contamination from human radio emissions, so it enables the super sensitive searches. Mission 5, look for lurkers on asteroids. Now, we might be being watched by aliens, so says Forbes magazine. Concealed on resources, resource-rich near-Earth objects, NEOs. Possibly even asteroids that orbit the sun with Earth. They're saying we got to look there for lurkers, possibility of aliens. Missions, and in a universe as big as ours, what is it we were saying? Professor Bauer and I were talking about this last night. If all of space, if we're the only ones here, it's an awful lot of wasted space. So Mission 6, intercept missions to interstellar interlopers. What was the asteroid? The Oumuamua, I think it's pronounced. Say that fast 10 times. For 2I Borisov passed through the solar system without us able to conclusively establish their nature and origins. So we should have an intercept mission ready to launch when a target next presents itself. And that could be soon after the Vera C. Rubin Observatory's all-sky surveys began late last year. Let's see what else we got. We got Mission 7 as a proposed mission. Search existing data, such as objects in orbit around exoplanets, pollution in exoplanet atmospheres, and the detection of nighttime illumination on exoplanets. Wouldn't that be cool if that new telescope could pick up illumination on exoplanets? Mission 8, conduct all-sky laser searches. So short laser pulses could be searched for visible light in the wide regions of infrared with a single instrument, your pen light. You're not supposed to shine those at airplanes. Little pen light. Asteroids, Mission 9, study small asteroids. Asteroids under 10 meters, or what is that, roughly 30 feet in diameter, might be artificial. But we've never looked. Anything with very flat metallic surfaces with high reflectivity will polarize reflected light. So those are some of the things that could be done. And this is from Forbes magazine, which I found very interesting. They're saying we should keep looking for this stuff. And so now I want to get us back into the moon. I'm looking at another place, and I pulled this up deliberately from non-woo infested sites when I did my research on this. I got Forbes magazine talking about it. And I've got Scientific American here, which is kind of like, I always, in my mind, associate them with Nat Geo, but they're not. But this is Scientific American, and they deal with the science of all of this stuff, including the moon as a fishing net for extraterrestrial life. This is what they're suggesting. Its surface could, in principle, preserve the remains of organisms or even technology from beyond our solar system. Now, they're admitting that something is there. It's like Ronald Reagan's speech. Many of you who are my age remember this, and some of you who are not as old as I am maybe don't remember this. But when he was making a speech to I think it was to the United Nations, wasn't it? As somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. In the early 1980s, and he said something. He was talking about the Star Wars strategic defense systems. And he said, "Hey, Maya," over there in the chat room. She's going, hey, Scotty. So, hey, Maya. So, didn't Ronald Reagan, he said something like, you can look up the clip on YouTube. He was talking about a Star Wars, a defense system, strategic defense that would defend us from our enemies that might want to launch against us or things like that. And then he also said, or extraterrestrials. He didn't say it in those so many words, but he came right out and said, or from threats from other places in the universe, which again deepened the whole mythos that is behind the president of the United States knows things and is informed of things, of aliens that exist, things that we know. I have heard through other people and other sources, credible sources, that there are aliens already on this planet, already interacting with governments, already interacting. Do you find that far-fetched? When you hear that, do you want to go, really? Wow. Or do you want to go, I can't go that far. I don't know about that. That sounds pretty woo. That sounds pretty conspiratorial or conspiracy theory. Remember, I told you a story a while back of a good friend of mine who lived in New Mexico, and she had called me after she went on a date with this guy that she met kind of out of nowhere. And she was deep into the UFO stuff. And this guy took her out to a park where they sat up talking all night, one of the national parks. And they saw things. She saw UFOs in the sky. And he was actually, without getting into the details, he asked her, do you want to see what they can do? And she's like, what are you talking about? He says, watch this. And he directed them. He just with his mind. He said, let's have them turn left. And they turned left, the lights in the sky. And then they had a couple of F-14s. What's the term called when they fly over? And they tipped a wing to him. And so she was freaked out by that altogether. And then he was the one that also told her that there was a facility somewhere in New Mexico where he worked that was many stories deep into the ground, but was like, take the comical version of the original Men in Black, when they had the underground facility with all the aliens, all 200 plus alien races, like a spaceport under there, or a checking point for your visa to Earth. And he said, it's kind of like that was the description he gave, except not comical like that. And that there are all these races, over 100 different races of extraterrestrials that are already here and already known by our governments. Now, that's when I had a talk with Stanton Friedman, if you remember him, a UFO researcher. And he said he was going to check this guy out. And he got back to me and said, he knows things that he really shouldn't know. He says, I think he's come across very credible. That's in a nutshell. That's what that story is. So that was very intriguing to me that exists. So Scientific American now is saying that the moon should be like a fishing net for extraterrestrial life. NASA recently announced the Artemis Lunar Exploration Program, consolidating its plans to land humans on the moon by 2024 again, and to establish a sustainable base there by 2028. If you remember the conversations from the cockpit that we got from the Apollo 11 astronauts and some of the other Apollo flights, they were talking about the structures that they were seeing on the moon, things that couldn't be broadcast but were still on the tapes from those conversations. Mining operations talking about, and things like that. How many flights have gone to the moon that we don't know about? Is there something there? Is it just human bases that are put there? Are they alien bases? There was some talk of it being they're watching us. There are other beings there. Now, this ambitious initiative revives an old question. Will the unique qualities of the lunar surface enable new frontiers in astronomy? And so a few decades ago, astronomers had already begun to contemplate these different ways that their observations could benefit from the absence of an atmosphere on the moon. First, energetic particles such as gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet photons, or cosmic ray. Every time I say the word photon, I think of Star Trek as a kid. Armed photon torpedoes. Or cosmic rays, these would not be blocked by an atmospheric blanket as they are on Earth. And hence, they would reach telescopes with large collecting areas mounted to the lunar surface. Second, observatories sensitive to optical, infrared, millimeter, or radio waves could reach their diffraction limit without the blurring or absorption associated with passage through the turbulent air of Earth's atmosphere. Arrays of detectors could therefore constitute these giant interferometers with unprecedented angular resolution. And third, the lack of an ionosphere would allow radio observatories to receive these signals at very low frequencies. So going through all this, you can look at this, look some of this stuff up, look up Scientific American, look at what they're saying about the moon, about our other planets that could be used as what they're calling a fishnet for extraterrestrial life. Can the moon provide clues for extraterrestrial life? Is the question they ask. The lack of a lunar atmosphere guarantees that messengers would reach the lunar surface without burning up. And they're talking some biological, possibly technological. Think about that. Technological debris on our moon. I showed you a picture last night that showed the debris here. I'm going to put it up for you in this slideshow again here, just so you can see this. Where we go, spaceship, like this one. This is one of the pieces of technology that was shot in photos on the moon. Ryan Gale in the chat room says, we need to land some dudes on Europa and drill under the ice. I think you're thinking of, do you remember that movie 2010? Kind of the follow-up to 2001, Stanley Kubrick's 2001. Where they went to Europa and they drilled, and there was some strange goings on. There you go. So there you go. There is. I'm going to leave that up for a second and look at that for a second. Is this the kind of technology? Are they finding this? Did somebody fake that picture? Supposedly, this came from the films that were already there. I want to show you something else while we're here. Let's get into this a little bit. Let's take a look at a couple of other pictures. As images were taken of the moon by the Apollo missions, they found that there were things that were not. I'm talking and looking at the same time here. Oh, I must not have. I got to add some pictures I didn't add. That were not sorry, let me back it up because I'm reading and talking at the same time, looking at my own stuff here. Hang on, let me find it. Graphics, the moon. Let me get there. Moon. Okay, I'm going to put up a couple of pictures. These are they were looking at the original imagery and finding that there were things in the imagery that were either blacked out by NASA or blurred out by NASA. And so the big question is, why is NASA blurring anything out on these images? Here, I'm gonna bring in a couple of photos while you're looking at that picture. I'm going to bring in a couple of these and we'll take a look at them. It's loading a couple of images for you now. I'm going to load a couple of more so you can see these. What they're calling images that have been tampered with by NASA. And the big question is, if this is a natural rock out there, the moon, and nothing's there. What are they blurring out on the moon that they didn't want people to see? So let me get one more picture up in here, and then I'll show you a few of these blurred images, towers and shards, blah blah blah. Here we go. I got a bunch of images tonight I want to show you. So patience with me while I'm doing this. Okay, here's the first one. Now, if you look closely at this image, somebody has circled this. And some of this was, I think some of these might have been Google Moon, like they have Google Earth. And people were taking pictures here. If you can see my mouse around this circle, this image right in here, they've got something blurred out in there. And of course, NASA's explanation is, well, that's just technical glitches in the pictures. But you see it through a lot of different things that they're showing here. I got one here that specifically shows that they're calling this data loss. Here, that one's uploading. Here we go. Now, this is another image that NASA's explanation for the blocking out of whatever is in this image is data loss. Now, take a look at that picture. There's a square right here that they're saying is loss of data, but there's also something that's being hidden there. You see these circles down here? There are other pictures here I want you to see. But let's go to this one. See this one? This was like a tower that was standing on the surface of the moon. And guess what? It's been blurred out. You see this structure right here? That's been blurred by NASA. And then there was this one as well. This is a little harder to see because of the colors are so light. But these two circle areas here, there are these long, skinny strips that I think were supposed to look like tracks or roads and things like that. Remember last night, the astronauts were talking about the roads and wondering about the North Road, you know, that had been, they're wondering how far it went. We should go out there and see if it's been finished yet. And things like that, things that people weren't supposed to see. So this is imagery that has been tampered with on the far side of the moon. And you got to, I don't think they're all on the far side now that I mention it. But you got to ask, why is NASA tampering with the images? Why are they blurring things out? What's there that they don't want people to see? That's the big question. There's a couple of pictures here I'm going to show you as well that show some imagery. This one right here that I'm loading up right now. This is, I think I am. Oh, there it goes. See this image? This is an image, and a very early image. And you can see way at the top, this is a tower that is extending off of the surface of the moon. And I think this was an early Chinese picture, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember the source on that. But it's showing a tower that's built on the surface of the moon. I'm going to go through a couple more of these, and then we'll get into some more information for you here. But let's bring up a couple other images here of things. Take a look at that for a second. Then they've got these domed sites, what they're calling domed sites. And let's see if I've got them all in here. There's that one. There's that one. There's that one. I want to make sure I've got... there's one in particular I'm looking for here that I downloaded today. Oh, they're in a different place, and I did not transfer them over. So we might not be able to look at them. But there's this one. I'm loading one up now that will show you some of the tower structures, what they're calling domes with towers on them. And they're seeing ships have been seen and photos taken. They're blurry again, but that show similar types of shapes. Right here. Now, if you take a look at this, right here where the red arrow is pointing, there's a few of these around the picture and as we spread out the picture. But this perfectly round disc shape with what looks like almost like think of a toilet paper tube sticking on the top, a squat toilet paper tube up there. And they were seeing a lot of these images up there. Let me get to another picture of that. It's kind of that same area. Let's see, that one and that one. Here's one. This is out a little bit further. And then I want to find one that I got to see if I can even upload it without converting the image over. And sorry, those of you who are listening by radio, audio only, you're missing the pictures. You can come over to one of the visuals sites and see these. Now, here's another shot. I think this is the same one from a little slightly different angle, but you see one out here to the upper left, down just running off the lower left. You see one over here going toward the right, and then the one almost in the middle. That these are not craters. These are not geographic formations. That these are structures, and they're all the same, with these kind of towers in the middle and the shadows that they're casting. So this is, to me, this is really interesting stuff. I'm going to see if I can upload one of the pictures that I downloaded today to see if I hope I don't have to. Yeah, they're grayed out. So I would have to open them up. I might take, while we're talking here, and open up one of these so we can. I want you to see one in particular that they've cleaned up just a little bit. And you can see what they're talking about with these ships. Let's see, not that one. There's these triangular shapes that they're finding all over. I mean, perfect triangles. Now, can there be a perfect triangle in geometry? Yeah. Or I'm sorry, in natural structures? Yeah, of course there can be. But here, let's see what we got here. I'm going to try to open these up for you. I got to resave them slightly different so you can see what we're looking at. And I'm going to show you this tower structure. Those little ones, I think the one that's still up there right now is one that you can take a look at and look at that for a second. And I'm going to show you a little clearer shot of that. Let's see if we can, let's put this in the right folder. I'm going to save that. And yes. Okay, let me import this picture now. And you tell me what you think of this. Let's see. Go to the moon. And where's the one I just put in there? There's triangular. That's from last night. There it is. Okay, I want you to see this one now. I'm going to load this up. It'll take just a few seconds to get in here. It's a PDF file, and it's a little bigger, but that's all this program takes. So while that is uploading, I want to show you that. Let's go over to this whole remote viewing thing again. The remote viewing of the dark side of the moon. We talked a little bit about the work of Ingo Swann last night, and the accounts of psychic Ingo Swann of his participation in a secret assignment by a U.S. shadow agency to promote or to remote view the far side of the moon are intriguing. Yet is there any evidence to back up his claims is the question that we have to ask. Because Swann's claims of observing structures, mining activities, and the humanoids, remember that from last night? He said they're looking at him and they are, he thought they could see him. Here, I'm going to bring up this picture because it came up. We'll continue on with this. Take a look at that. That is one of those tower structures in the disk. What do you think of that image? Does that look like it's part of the natural surface of the moon? And so back to Ingo Swann. Swann's claims of observing these structures, the mining activities, the humanoids on the far side of the moon, are too fantastic to be taken at face value from the average person. Like I was saying at the beginning, we're so used to being deceived by woo stuff and conspiracy stuff, we don't know what's real anymore. So we have to use our good judgment, our discretion when we listen to this stuff. For many people out there, maybe these are nothing more than the ramblings of a madman and not worth a second thought. This Ingo Swann, what he saw by remote viewing. However, claims of strange lunar structures have been circulating for decades, and Swann isn't the only one who claims that there are structures and towers and activity or anomalies that are on the moon. Now, I got to tell you, before I go on too much further with this, like I said last night, I just have to say I'm not going to prove or disprove anything. I simply would like to explore whatever possible evidence there might be. And I'm looking at these other sources that suggest that anomalies and the possible discovery of unknown structures are on the moon's surface. And that's not metallic, says Sean Stroik. At least shine like the others. Yeah, and it's, you're dealing with the shadowing and the fuzziness of the images and things like that. So what are we really looking at there? I know we're not looking at a rock. So, in 1976, a year after Ingo Swann claims he was involved in this secret remote viewing of the far side of the moon, he states that he received partial confirmation of his observations. There was a book titled Somebody Else is on the Moon, and it was by former pilot and NASA scientist George Leonard. And this book arrived on Swann's doorstep. And George Leonard was a former NASA scientist, as well as the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And in the book, Leonard accuses NASA of having photographs that confirm non-human presence on the moon. It confirms it, he says. And the book's main focus was a detailed review of thousands of official NASA photographs of the moon from the various Apollo missions. And at the time, the quality of the images were very poor, but Leonard included the photographic identification code numbers with every one of them. He also claims that evidence and photographs of non-human structures on the moon have been hidden or destroyed by NASA to prevent the information from becoming public. Now, let me ask you something. If there are structures on the moon, why would NASA want to hide that from us? Is it because it's top secret? We are building it? The United States is building something up there? Humanity has got something up there? Why would they hide it? Is there something they don't want us to know? On that same note, that whole idea of the government hiding the fact that there are extraterrestrial life forms that have been in contact with us. Why would they do that? Why would they hide that from us? Is it just mass panic? Can we go to the thing that is the obvious answer in so many things that we run across in life? Is there money involved? Is there the enrichment of a certain class of people? And so they don't want anybody else to know? That seems highly likely to me. I want you to go look up. I can't show it here, otherwise I would. Well, maybe I can't. Maybe I'll just not monetize a show. Maybe tomorrow night, at some point, and we'll show this video. But there's a video where, and I've mentioned this before, where former President Bill Clinton is on the Jimmy Kimmel show. No, not Jimmy Kimmel. The other one. The other guy who was part of with Adam Carolla, the Man Show. Jimmy, the other Jimmy. What the heck is him? Why am I going blank on his name? You know who I'm talking about. If it is Jimmy Kimmel. Which Jimmy has the Tonight Show and which Jimmy has the other night show? Fallon. No. Okay, Fallon is the Tonight Show. Jimmy Kimmel is who I'm talking about. So Bill Clinton was on with Jimmy Kimmel. And this was a few years ago. And Ben Hansen, who is, I know Ben Hansen. I've met him. He was on some of the ghost hunting shows. 10, 12 years ago. He's a former CIA guy. He also was one of those specialists in body language and watching how people lie without how they lie through their eyes, through their facial tics, through their body language, through everything. And he's watching this, and Jimmy Kimmel asked former President Clinton, he says, the first thing I want to know, he says, what about the aliens? He says, if I was going to be elected president, the first thing I'd do after I was sworn into office, I'd go back to the Oval Office, I'd open the drawer, and I'd say, show me the files on the UFOs and aliens. And so he asked him this. And he started asking a bunch of questions of Bill Clinton. And so what's really there? Now, what Ben Hansen pointed out was that the whole pre-part of the interview, Clinton was very comfortable in his body language, and he points out all the body language. As soon as Kimmel started asking him questions about this, all of the little tiny things that you might not notice unless somebody was pointing it out started to change with him. The way he moved his fingers, the clenching of a jaw, the movement of a leg, all of these things. And he started looking at it. He said, in my interrogation training, he says, this is how we determined somebody was either lying or covering up or obfuscating the truth. And so I encourage you to go look up Jimmy Kimmel with Bill Clinton, the body language tape with Ben Hansen. Those three names. You can remember Kimmel, you can remember Clinton. The other guy is Ben Hansen. At least he's got an easy enough name to say. So go ahead and look that up. And you're going to see how Bill Clinton, it appeared that he was, not that he was out and out lying, but that he was, there were things, and he pointed out there are things that say to me, he's stressed about this and he can't say anything. He can't say anything. He has to obfuscate. So who knows what they hold over these people's heads, if this is really true. So now we're down to, about, I just used the word gosh. Gosh, golly beef. The guy who played Leave It to Beaver, his older brother, Tony Dow. He just died. Just saw an article on that. Golly beef. We got about 2 minutes left of this show. So I can't get into too much more here with this. But remember, Swan's book was published 20 years after he had his experiences. But as we look into this stuff, they brought in people that would look at some of these images from NASA. They didn't allow them cameras or pictures or pencils or calculators, no recording devices of any kind. They had to be accompanied at all time. And they spent 3 days looking over the photos. And on the final day, one of the guys, Sacheri, was one of his names. He took a walk to stretch his legs after looking at all this stuff. And he wrote this. He said, killing the last 15 minutes of time, then my eyes caught it. Houston, we've got a bogey at 2:00. And there was more. Roger that, Apollo, switching to Alpha, roll 8 degrees and begin sequence. Roger, Mission Control, confirming Alpha. Though I knew instinctively what it meant, I couldn't believe what I was reading. I raced through the pages and other mission transcripts and found similar dialogue. Mission Control, we've got Santa Claus coming over the hill. Roger, Apollo, hold your fix. Switching Bravo, do you copy? Roger, Houston, Bravo link. These guys were reporting UFO activity, but I couldn't remember ever hearing this during the live TV broadcasts of lunar missions in 1969 and in 1970. I was too dumbfounded to say a word and too scared to tell. Les or Roger, librarian, I didn't want to get either of them in trouble, and we had no clearance to see these documents. And so Sacheri claims to have discovered these transcripts detailing an encounter between Apollo astronauts and UFOs that seemed to be monitoring their mission while they were orbiting the moon. That, to me, is pretty crazy stuff. And you know what? We're just about out of time here. I hate to say it. At least for the radio audience. We got to let the radio audience go. And so all of you in the radio, I just want you to live long and prosper. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Stick around for the Captain's Cabin.
Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid Radio Program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hire my dad so he can take me to Disneyland.
Well, avast and savvy. Welcome to the Captain's Cabin. Good to have you all back and staying around. So here it is, Captain's Cabin. We're already there. And I don't think I'm going to go super long tonight. We try to cut it off in an hour at 11 o'clock, my time, midnight Eastern. We might go that long depending on how the conversation goes, or we might just try to cut it short a little bit. Hey, Kelly Bell Moran, over in the chat room. Good to see you. Iowa X, good to see you. All of those of you who, wait, we got Uncle Dave. Here's Uncle Dave and Professor Bauer. Let's add them to the stream. Uncle Dave, you're in blackface today. How politically incorrect. So I don't hear you, Uncle Dave. Oh, there he is. Smoking a cigar and driving. So welcome, you guys. Welcome, Professor Bauer.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Ryan Gale, good to see you over there. He says President Clinton asked his people about aliens at Area 51, and he was told that was need to know. Yeah, I'm sure it was. And of course, how much of that can you trust?
Can't tell if I'm on or not.
You're on.
You're on, Dave.
I'll take you out until you get to a better place.
Hey, Scotty.
Yes, sir.
You were talking earlier, and I know about this and found it. So I thought that maybe we could. It's a YouTube video. It's C-SPAN. I don't think you're going to get any kind of demonetization. C-SPAN doesn't give a shit.
If it's not a YouTube video, we'll be all right, I think.
Well, it's on YouTube. It's on the C-SPAN channel.
Anything you use on YouTube, they'll demonetize you.
Yeah.
So,
well, it is Buzz Aldrin talking about the monolith on the satellite or the moon around Mars.
well, go ahead and put it up. Let's see it anyway. I think this is interesting enough. I'm not going to worry about it. Folks, that's what you have to do with YouTube. They monetize my videos, which brings in not a lot of money. But if you put on something that they can possibly tell you that you've infringed copyright just because you didn't get permission to use it, they'll demonetize your show. Well, that episode anyway. Let's bring it up into the stream. Here's Buzz Aldrin, of course, one of the Apollo 11 astronauts.
Second man to walk the moon.
Yes.
On the moon. We can visit other people with
Can you
their
hear it okay?
habitation. We can keep track. If there's
Everybody hear
something
that?
very important to be developed from the moon, I'm not sure what it is right now. And I sure think we should identify what it is for America to make such gross expenditures again for human habitation on the moon. We can help. We can join with together. We can explore the moon and develop the moon.
Listen to what he says
We should
here.
Go boldly where man has not gone before.
Yeah.
Fly by the comets, visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars. There's a monolith there, a very unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once in 7 hours. When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there? Who put that there? Well, the universe put it there. If you choose, God put it there.
That's interesting.
That's right out of the horse's mouth.
Ain't that the truth? Here, we'll try Uncle Dave again. We'll bring you in, Uncle Dave.
American Museum of Natural History in New York City.
He's playing the radio, so I'm going to take him out. Sorry, Uncle Dave. So, that's an intriguing video, and you've got Buzz Aldrin. He's
there's some audio going on.
Is that coming from me? Because it's not. I don't see it anywhere on my end.
Oh, hold on. It could be me. Hold on.
I mean, I'm just going to start seeing what tabs I've got open here. Hang on, folks. We're just trying to figure out what's playing in the background.
So it just went to the next video, which is Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah,
interviewing Buzz Aldrin.
Sure.
Star Talk or something. Yeah. So that's fixed. Interesting statement from somebody who was the second person to officially be, step on another body in our solar system.
Yes.
In particular, our moon. I understand because I went through a lot of this myself, but when I first read the Sitchin's 12th Planet back in the 80s.
I got problems with Sitchin, but anyway,
I understand. Some people do, some people don't. But at the end, I mean, all of the latest research that I've seen in documentary form are referencing literally Sitchin for the most part of whatever exploration they're doing on the Sumerians or, the writings. There was a kerfuffle for a few years. I actually met him in Atlanta back in the mid-90s, I went to one of his lectures and I was like, this little guy, this portly little old guy is just, he's like a, like Randall Carlson. I always refer to Randall as a machine gun.
Randall is a huge man.
Yeah,
Randall's a huge giant of a man.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He can drink some beer too.
Yes.
So anyway, when I started thinking about, other life outside of what I was told or thought about as far as religion is concerned, because when you think about the ways in which in religion, the ways that the entities, the folks that are in charge, that write, that create and do all that stuff, they've got a lot of very similar characteristics, referencing Niall's point last night with, we were talking about the relationship. He was looking at it from NDE and UFO experience, and are they of the same fit, the same thing? And when you look
Niall's here somewhere, I think. Thought I saw him earlier.
When you look at the the common characteristics, the commonalities. They're incorporeal, or they can be. They change shape. They go through things. They appear. They do things with energy and make things appear and do all these incredible things. To say nothing of any of the technology that was apparently used in creating a lot of the ancient sites around the world, because we can't even replicate it today. Some of the stuff that's been done, and not just in size and just mega, but in the fine craftsmanship. I mean, some of the stuff is just amazing. Pumo Punko, I think, is one of the most phenomenal, because you look at that and you go, these look like they were Legos, ancient Legos, and but giant and perfect. And you go, well, what was it? And then what took it out? Right?
Yeah.
So that's my meandering away of coming to at least an understanding and acceptance within myself, that when I think about, are there others out there that are not us, some that are even us, potentially, some that are more advanced us, even to the concept of there's a whole bunch of models of us coming from the future, doing time travel and coming back to do research.
Yes.
I mean, you go, well, when you have such a preponderance of evidence and information like that, how can you not think that we are not alone? It's like, just because you haven't had a personal experience doesn't mean it ain't there.
Right.
Which is,
I have a bunch of stuff that I've been lining up for future shows, and one of them was this guy in just because you mentioned time travel, the guy, I can't remember his last name, Diedrich or something like that, 1922, who claimed that he had traveled in a dreamlike state. He had gotten sick with tuberculosis. He thought he was going to die, and he wakes up and he's in a hospital room, but it's 2,000 years in the future. 3967 or something like that. And he lives there for a year, but he's somebody else. He's the guy in the future. It's like they had switched bodies. And he brought up, it wasn't just a science fiction story. He brought up so much detail that it was intriguing. And I wanted to look into this a little bit more and just present that on one of the shows. That's a very interesting story. And eventually, and he couldn't sleep. The whole time he was in the future, he couldn't sleep. He read all night, and they wouldn't allow him to read. And it was very similar to what it is now. Just think technology, of course, changed and stuff like that, but still people. And they pretty much said, the powers that be said, we can't let you read anything from the 20th century or the next couple of centuries. You got to keep it pushed out because we don't want you to go back with any knowledge if we can get you back. And then one night he felt tired and he went to sleep. About a year later, he wakes up and he's in the tuberculosis. He's in the hospital again. And he had been in a coma for a year. And that's what he experienced while in a coma. And that was his story. So the big question was, did it really happen? I don't know for sure. But
it's not too dissimilar from Casey's readings when, he was asked about Atlantis.
I was just going to try to get Dave in here.
Right?
Yep.
Those kinds of experiences and the information that they have. And, remember we were talking about remote viewing, and one of the key components of anything, but specifically as it relates to remote viewing, is having verifiable data, right?
Yes.
You've got to have, if you have aspects of the data, then that's considered being on target, right? And then it's just a matter of what you're able to pick up outside of those things that you have picked up that are also a part of the verification of the target. So you have empirical target data, and then you have stuff that you can't verify, or can you? And that ties us back to Ingo and the pictures you've gone through.
Right.
right? So Ingo was a psychic. He's not a remote
Right.
viewer.
Right.
And
right.
and what he, in fact, I highly recommend, if you haven't seen it, it's on Amazon. Third Eye Spies, which is the latest documentary. It came out, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe around there. And it's Russell Targ. It's his documentary. It's him documenting the entire process of creating the project at SRI and doing all that. Extremely well done.
Garage.
And you'll learn a lot.
From the garage. Sorry about that. Side conversation with my wife.
So I was talking about Third Eye Spies. If you haven't seen it, highly recommended. It's Russell Targ's own production, him and his son. And it's awesome. Lots of original footage, scripts, interviews, the process. He goes through the whole thing. It's quite fascinating. So if Ingo saw stuff, and his most verified, or at least easily verified, is the whole Jupiter and the rings.
The whole Jupiter thing. I was going to get into that tonight, and I skipped it.
That's pretty profound.
That's very profound. That was the first thing that Ingo Swann, that they had him doing, was remote viewing Jupiter and getting his impressions. And he saw things that we didn't know about. And there was no way to verify it. And could have drawn scorn for him, but then we have since found out that he was correct. That you just mentioned the ring, the very faint light ring that goes around Jupiter.
Yeah.
That nobody knew about. And he saw that.
Well, what's real interesting about that is the entire context. They specifically asked him, they said, "We're going to Jupiter. What will we see there?" So this was not a blind target.
Right.
This was an intentional known target and just going after it. So
and he, at first, he wanted to reject it. He said, "I don't want to go someplace where you can't verify what I'm saying." He wanted to have qualification for what he was seeing. Right. Otherwise, he said, "Who's going to believe what I have to say?" So.
Yeah. So when you have, that's empirical data, and that's that's verified and validated by science. Okay. And there is a ton of it. And you'd mentioned Blavatsky when we were doing the astral travel discussion. I mean, she, as I was saying, she not only had those kinds of going and seeing skills psychically.
Guys, go ahead, keep talking, Professor.
But she also had telekinesis. She was able to manipulate objects. Okay.
Yes.
And that's just another field perturbation of the fields and being aware of it, dialing in and going, okay, I'm going to go do this. So consciousness is really a dial in your space kind of place.
Yes.
And you really, you got to explore all the dials, the dials and the knobs.
Yes.
To see what's out there.
The Niles and the Dobbs.
Now you've got these pictures showing these objects. You've got, there's a ton of them. There's video of all kinds of stuff going on. Yep. Analysis is rich and deep across the web. And those that are really good at it, you can see it and you know. Bruce sees all is one guy. Mars Anomalies is another guy. I mean, just, you'd really like the Mars Anomaly guy because he does everything in Photoshop. So he brings up all the images and goes through all of the different filters. And when you go through the spectrum of what you can see in an actual image, you see stuff that you didn't see before.
You know, that's doing
photo analysis.
Google Earth. If I can go into a vastly different topic. And I'm going to show this to you all just to demonstrate, this is a little bit about what they did. And this has nothing to do with the main topic tonight. Let me go over here and I'm going to explore this. I am going to share my screen with you. And hopefully there's no copyright with Google Earth. Because I'm going to show you some of the things that we did. Let me share my screen. Share screen. Boom, and share. And let's go over to boom. Okay. Google Earth. All right. Oh, that's something I looked at. That's, by the way, that's my friend Andy's house up in northern Minnesota, up on the lake. The guy I've been writing the book for. Now, we're looking here at, obviously, at Lake Superior. I'm not even pointed true north anymore. Let's get to true north. Lake Superior. I'm over in here somewhere. I want to go over to Egypt. And I want to see if it saved this pin of mine. Roman wall. Oh. Roman fort. At Gebel El Silsila. Let's just see if it shows us. All right. We'll go to Gebel El Silsila in Egypt. Maybe. This is just a way to kind of give you all an idea of what they do when they look up some of these images. Okay, here's Gebel El Silsila. Now, I don't know why it's going off north. I don't like that. And I can go back to 2D anytime I want here, but this is where we were. This is where my friend's archaeological site is. You've heard me talk about the Space of Horemheb, which is right in here. And that's where we would moor up. And then across the way here are the temples they're digging up. And it's all the quarries and things that are down here. All of this stuff is quarries, and all these hills you see are spoil heaps and things like that. Here's quarries and all. So that gives you an idea when they're looking on Google Earth or Mars, Google Mars or Google Moon. These are the things they're seeing. Now, I want to see if I still have a pin that's available in. We went up north of the site, Gebel El Silsila, and there's a little village up here. So we walked up the road here on the shore. And there's a place out here where there's a, I think that's the main road coming in. I just wanted to demonstrate something here. You can see the kind of imagery you get on the satellites. I believe this is the road we walked down here. That's the main road going out. Here's the main road going out. So there is a place on here where you can see a Roman road. And we walked up the Roman road. Let's see, that's the village. Hang on a second, I'm going south. Gebel El Silsila again. We walked all down in here. We went up and there's a road that comes in. We follow it up here. I don't think that's it. I didn't think it was quite that far up. It's only like a 10-minute walk to get up to the road. But the road veers off and there's an old Roman road. And that Roman road leads to a Roman fort. And of course, I can't see it now. But what I was going to do, the only demonstration, I've really already kind of demonstrated it, was to show how you can see this imagery on these maps. And it just made me think of that. So, like here, Temple Mountain. This is
Looks
the
like
quarries.
there's a lot of stuff underneath there.
Yes. And a lot of this is spoil. It's from the digging and carving out the quarries, and the spoil would go on the heaps. Here's the big quarry of Ramses II that we were in, and you walk down down through here. It's like walking through, 7-8 story buildings on either side of you, going through this that's been carved out of there. But this gives you an idea of what you can get with some of this stuff when you look at it. Let's go to 2D. So here's the quarry. And I've been all over these cliffs and walked all these paths. And but what we would do, John would sit on this some days, and he went way up over here. This is now Gebel El Silsila. This is there's nobody lives here. This is just all ancient roads and ancient quarries, paths going through there. And all he did was he took this, and he had seen something, and so he went up and he would sit for hours and go through all of this stuff. And he'd look at this and he'd say, what is that? Or what is that? And he'd take a look at things and say, is there something that I should be looking at closer here? And that's what they did with all these pictures of the moon and Mars and things like
Scotty,
that.
when I look at that image right there where you can see the alignment of the stones at the top there.
Yes.
And then
all up here.
Yeah. And then all down through that area, that looks like a settlement to me. I mean,
there is an ancient village in here.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like that's an old.
This is the wadi where we, I want to see where this is it. Because we'd walk up this road, and there's a little village here. I'm missing it. I'm not seeing it. This is it. This is the road. But then you could go on the road, and we just walk up from where the boat was moored, and this little village. But we'd circumvent the village. We'd come up through here, and all up on. These are all hills and crags, and you'd go up here, and there's ancient village. I don't know. I can't pinpoint it from here. But there's an ancient village right in here. And it's like one of these mountaintops here is where there's like this. It's like an old Roman fort. And there's the old Roman road that's in there. This might be, I don't know if that's part of it or not. But you can see like this. So John would look at this and you go, okay, what am I looking at there?
Looks like a wall to me.
Yep. And, but there was a hunting wall we came across. We walked all the way out in here. It was about 8 mile walk out.
So where are they digging now? Where they're working on the other?
Oh, they are. Here's the site. Gebel El Silsila spans both sides of the Nile, and it encompasses about 22 square miles. So it goes all the way out into here. It's like this kind of an area. And they're primarily been working in these quarries. All these quarries, Temple Mountain series. I don't know what that is. Never mind what that is. But down here, they were working on, here's like the water works down in here. This is the Speos is over here. And it was right across in here where they've unearthed all the tombs. The necropolis is down here. There is a temple. This is the temple site, I believe, right here, I think, where they've unearthed a temple there. And in these, this is quarrying. But they found right in this area, over by the temple, all of this, I think it is where there's all these tombs. And it's not pharaonic tombs. It's, they found a nobleman in there. They found some certain things in there. But a lot of the locals, the workers at this site, the villagers were buried in here in a necropolis. And these are some of these aren't ruins. They're just, the guardians live here. There's a shelter here. I think this might be, there's a hill right here somewhere, which is the, let me see just where we are here. You can see it from the other side, and I took pictures of it. This is the Horemheb camping. That's interesting. That has nothing to do with their site. But there's a hilltop here, which is the the stables of Tiberius Caesar when the Romans were here. It might be this. And there were some rooms up on the top, rooms going down, and down in here were the stables. And there was the big hill of spoil. I think that might be it there. But so there's that. But this gives you an idea. Really, the reason I wanted to do this was just show what kind of detail they could get from satellite imagery. And now, of course, this is Earth satellites, and you can see you're right here on the top of somebody's house. But that's all it sparked. I didn't want to take a lot of time with this, other than to show you that this is what. Now, if you go up here into Luxor, there's something very interesting here. Just to once again, just kind of give you an idea. Here's Luxor. There's the West Bank, the boat landing. There's kind of a circle drive around here. And we would take the ferry across, and we'd walk over to John's, which is down here, and we went down one of these side diagonal roads and ended up in John's house was out here somewhere by the banana fields. But over here, I'd just get up in the morning. I'd walk down here. I'd grab a ferry boat where you can see all these ferries lined up, and just take the boat over. And here's Luxor Temple right across the river. So that gives you an idea for detail. Luxor Temple. And I talked about the Avenue of Sphinxes. There's that great picture of John and I. We're about right here, walking toward the gates of Luxor Temple here. And there's all these Sphinxes lined up on both sides of the road. This Avenue of Sphinxes, you can see it, Old Pharaonic Avenue. It goes for 3.5 miles in a straight line all the way down here to Karnak temples. It turns here. You can still see the Sphinxes, and you're here, and you're at the back gates of the Karnak temple complex. So, and here again, detail. This shows you detail.
Can you go to 3D with that?
I can. Let's see what it shows us in 3D. It doesn't, it's not real 3D. It just kind of tips you out. But let's go true north here. So you got Karnak temples here. There's the river. Karnak temple. And here out the back side of Karnak temple was your Avenue of Sphinxes. Right there. And it goes all the way down 3.5 miles to Luxor Temple. And it looks busier than it is. It's busy, but it's not like New York City busy. It's just city busy. So we go down here. And
Can
there's.
you imagine what each side of that Avenue of the Sphinxes looked like back then?
Oh, man.
As opposed to now, it would be
right.
completely different, I would imagine.
It would be completely different. And I am curious, if I go over here and I open see what comes up. Avenue of Sphinxes. There it is. So that's that picture of John Ward and I walking down. There's the Sphinxes. A lot of them don't exist anymore. They've been torn down. But when I had Momin Saad on the show, he was talking about this Avenue of Sphinxes. And there's the front gate of Luxor Temple, and the Nile is out here. So that's that spot right there. You're looking at, we were standing about right there when that picture was taken, walking this way to the gates. So anyway.
Sweet.
Anyway, that's all I was trying to communicate with that was what it looked like when they go and they do these things. Stop screen. And sorry if you, well, there's nobody on the radio anymore, so I don't have to apologize. If you're listening, you're right over here. and you could see that stuff. So, and that's fun stuff. You can go and you
Absolutely.
can find. We went when we walked up the mountain Serabat el Khadim in the Sinai. It's a plateau, and there's old ceremonial paths going up the mountain thousands of years ago. And I was able to go find the paths. I could zoom in so tight in the middle of the Sinai desert, and I found Serabat el Khadim and the temples, and I just backtracked and I found the path that we walked, and I could go all the way up and down the mountain, all the way down, and it was very cool.
That's awesome.
You're welcome, Kelly Bell. Let's see, we got Uncle Dave here. Uncle Dave, Red Dog 1 to Red Dog Squadron. Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave. He's not there yet.
He's
weird.
trying.
Yeah, I think he's still in his car. So
to your, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I mean, so here's one of the many awesome things about what you just did. You showed pictures of a place that you have been to. Mm-hmm. You then were able to zoom in from an aerial perspective and come in and say, hey, this is where I was and what I did.
And there's the street. There's the spot I was staying. That's the sculpture I peed behind.
I mean, that tech right there was just absolutely awesome.
The tech is amazing.
To be able to share that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the most important thing is that it's your story. It's you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just absolutely awesome. So thank you for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome. It was fun.
I wanted to kind of throw out a little bit of a, maybe we can have some discussions about the archaeology,
yes,
and the cycles and things that have been found and things that are still not yet to be found.
Yes.
And so my thinking is, I mean, the stuff that we know about the civilizations that we have some kind of record of has common threads, again, going through that path. What are the commonalities of them? They all have this kind of structure and this kind of story and so forth. And those are just the ones that we know. I think, particularly with technologies like LiDAR, the stuff that's been found recently in Guatemala and Central America, the stuff that they just found in the Amazon. Yeah. I mean, they are uncovering massive Mayan, Roman, English civilizations and structures that they didn't think existed. Right?
Yes.
So I think that these are the key areas to watch. The Amazon and Central America are already popping up, and there's a whole bunch more coming out. The Sahara was once a big, lush, totally awesome thing, very similar to the Amazon and northern South America, Brazil and all of that. Yes. And the civilizations that are buried under there, knock people's socks off.
Oh yeah.
Over in Asia, in basically the Caucasus Mountains and that in Siberia and that middle up to north region of what's known as Russia now, there's stuff in there that is just nuts. And you would go, how in the world and when was that? Then of course, you've got all of the coastlines. Every coastline has got stuff that they just keep going out and go, wait a minute, where did that city come from? And why is it 200 feet below the surface of the ocean? Right. And it's massive. Yeah. And then, of course, the last thing being Antarctica. So those areas over the next few years are going to start popping up stuff that's going to be fuel for the Narradime change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's going to help people ease into, this will, basically guys that were getting high and saying, screw you, leave me alone, get out, you guys all invasive and all this stuff. And you don't keep away or you're going to end up there. We're right, because that's what you're doing, right?
Yes.
So now we're sitting here going, so the change is occurring. And on its own. And I think that we're going to learn about the secrets revealed aspect of what we're going through is going to blow people's mind, help ease them into an awesome place on the other side of this.
Yes. Uncle Dave, are you with us? Did I hear him mumble? Uncle
I hear
Dave.
nothing. I see a name.
We don't got you, Dave. We got to wait till you're back. All right.
So
It's
anyway,
not
my
working.
point is there's a bunch of archaeology that technology is going to enable over those areas in the ocean, on the coastlines, even out in the middle of the ocean. But in particular, Brazil, the Amazon, and even all of South America, but northern South America through Mexico. That whole region is just rich with shit. And
Yes.
fortunately, a lot of it has been preserved because people don't know it was there, right? So it's kind of fresh. And then the Sahara, I mean, there's all kinds that used to be lush and have lakes and rivers.
Yes.
Okay. And that was only 5,000-6,000 years ago. That wasn't, 20, 30,000 or a million years ago.
Right.
That was 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, which puts it right in the middle of all these civilizations that developed and all these different cultures that essentially were the initial seeds of what we are doing, have come to where we are now. A lot of the ways in which we, conduct civility and the social justice, if you will, in the original sense of how things are done. It's all based on what Sumerians and Akkadians and all those cats did apparently 6,000 years ago or so.
Right.
Right.
Speaking of almost 6,000 years ago, look at this.
Oh, yeah.
So this is Stonehenge. Look at the detail on that.
And it's reconstructed.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
This is, again, this is Google Earth. It just made me think of that.
I mean, the amount of stuff that we're going to find out about that is going to just completely, simply by its existence, it's going to force the narrative to change.
Yes.
The narrative, there will be no defense because
Exactly.
the evidence will be so profound and obvious that if you try to say it's something else, people can go, I don't know about you.
Yeah.
If that's what you think, you can't be in charge. You can't have any kind of responsibility of managing that information because you're clearly wrong.
Tower of London. And I'm just bringing this up to say the detail. You're talking about the tech.
Yeah.
The detail is unbelievable. Like here, here's the Thames. Oh, you've got Shakespeare's Globe Theater. The rebuild of that is right over here. That is, we walked across, not this, but the new London Bridge. You can see the tower from the Globe. And the Globe is, there it is. Here's the rebuild of Shakespeare's Globe Theater. Right there. Okay. Let me be freewheeling here now. It won't let me turn it. Oh, we got to go back to, oh, that's 2D, 3D. There we go. So there's the globe. You can see. Good night. I love you. Nice to have you home. Home from camp. So yeah, we were standing out here, and you gotta walk across. We walked across that bridge, footbridge, but over here you can see. It's kind of fun. You could see the Tower of London. I thought we could. It seems a long way now. Maybe we didn't see it from there. See, there's the Tower of London. But what's really cool about the Tower of London, let's see. Take a look at this. The detail is so fine on this, it won't let me turn. It's really odd. Let's try it this way again. Right down in here is these buildings here, the red roof. These are the old apartments. Right down here, right in this corner, you see where I'm pointing?
Mm-hmm.
That was Anne Boleyn's apartments. And there is an old block here which shows, I don't know if that's it right there, or if it's right here, where before they moved it out of the castle grounds where they had done beheadings. But this was Queen Elizabeth's walk, right along this wall. And these now back up. These are all like the guys who are the yeomen of the guard. All have apartments in here now. But you can come out this door where we came out, and this walk right here is where Queen Elizabeth, when she was imprisoned here, she would walk, and you can see into the yard from here. But and this connects to then more apartments inside there. But that was her walk in the mornings at the Tower of London. So I just thought I'd bring that up again because we're mentioning the detail.
Yeah, that's some very nice 3D right there.
That's crazy. And then there is Tower
You don't
Bridge.
need your own drone unless you need to have real-time presence.
That's right. That's right. So I thought that would be cool to look at, and we'll look at one more thing just because we're here and doing this. Let's go to Loch Ness, up in the north. So here's Inverness is the town. Here, there's Inverness, Scotland. If you know anything about Culloden Moor, that's right here. This is the battlefield where the Scots pretty much lost their independence forever. In this moor, and they're trying to prevent it from being built over nowadays. But all of this area, and there's cairns down here, and all of that. But where Lord Cumberland beat the Scots, but that was at Inverness. But you go over here to Inverness, and you can hop on down to Loch Ness, which is here. There's Loch Ness. Here's Urquhart Castle, the very famous. Look at the detail as we start to zoom in. This is a little fuzzier here, but there is the famous Urquhart Castle sitting out on that point. So, just for tech, I'm just showing it for tech once again. The detail.
For shits and giggles, type in Madagascar.
You got it. Let's look at Madagascar. Madagascar. Let's go flying. Which was a big pirate haven in its day. Anywhere in particular you want to go on Madagascar?
Stay out about.
Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, something that hopefully we can find here. Get back out around 5,000 feet in altitude.
Oh, we're at 9,000. We just jumped to 9,000.
Let's see.
Okay,
hold on. Right. Okay, so about middle of your screen, and you and to the right about a halfway, you see that kind of round shaped thing about mid screen.
This right here.
I don't see your mouse.
Oh,
back up.
Looking for the round-shaped thing.
It's okay. Now it's right about the middle of your screen. Now it's off the screen to the
Right
right.
there, by Minabi.
Keep going to the right. Keep going just straight across from there. Right. Keep going. Right there. Okay. All right. So so zoom back out.
Look at the trees.
And what's interesting is, doesn't that look like a limb of a tree?
It does.
Okay. Now look at that. You see how it's got that ridge around it, but in the middle of that, in the middle there, that's not one of the really good ones, but these, I think, are ancient petrified giant trees.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. There's some of these in Australia too.
Okay.
I
Now
wondered if that's what you were getting at.
Zoom back out. There's a couple of them that are much better than that. Zoom on out. You're in the general area. Go to the right. I'm pointing at the screen now, straight up from the middle. Up the other way, down. I guess. See that rounder brown thing there, right where your mouse is. You see
right
that
in here?
Yeah.
Oh, this?
Yeah, that's not one of the good ones either. There's some really, I mean, you can look at them and you know that just in the shape and you can see the rings.
Mandy from Australia was showing me pictures of these big petrified trees, what they think are big petrified trees.
Well, what's interesting is that all of the stuff around what look like trunks, all of them look like limbs from trees. Like they're giant limbs that would come from a giant tree and then landed and then became that little space. And there's trees growing in them, which makes it even more fascinating.
Yeah. New Zealand, there's a place I'd like to go. I'm curious if they've even got it on the map, because it's now a place you can go see. The Shire in New Zealand. See if it shows it. Oh. Hobbiton movie set tours. So it's got to be close to this anyway. Look at that. Again, detail. That's the movie set tours. I wonder where Hobbiton is from there. That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. And you know what's really cool is that we have access to this kind of information.
I know.
Literally instantly, as we are clearly demonstrating here. This is real time. What will the tech do, and how cool will it be? And that's pretty cool so far. I got my thumbs up because it's instant. It's gorgeous.
Yep.
You know, it's gorgeous at least in the sense that we've had something like this for a while, but not to this level. They've clearly upgraded the information system and the capture rates. So that is just absolutely awesome. And being able to check out the things that people are. I mean, there's all kinds of digs and archaeology and research going on all kinds of levels across the spectrum right now. And there's a bunch of that's come out that I just a year or two ago, and I went, what? How did I miss that?
Yeah.
So I think being able to have access to that and then explore it, go on a mind trek.
Yes.
And, take a little thought stream down the lane of information to see what's in there, because now you can actually sit here and go, let's pull this up and check it out. And that is just awesome.
And that's what's so cool about this. Yeah. So one of these days I'll have to take time and find it. Now that I know where this is, where you go to tour the sets. Anyway, so they drive you somewhere or you walk somewhere. It's got to be close by. Oh, Hobbiton Village. Hang on. Where's Bag End? There's the big tent. Hang on, folks. We're there. If you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, this is where the sets are. Bagshot Row, Hobbiton Village, the Frog Pond. Well, it's in there somewhere. Might be that right there, for all I know. So there you go.
Well, and that's the thing, is that you can go, well, I'd like to have an overview of where I'm going and what's going on there. So let me see what's happening. Oh, okay. That's how it's laid out. Now at least I'm going to know where I am when I'm there.
Where's Samwise Gamgee's house? Who else's house is here? This has to be the big tree on top where Bag End is. I would have to imagine. You're seeing it from kind of behind in the top. That's cool. It's interesting there that you can't see it from here. The party tree, which you can see from Bag End, which maybe is in here or in here. Oh, well. Doesn't matter. How's that for riveting radio, folks?
Well, yeah, this is very cool. And that's
It's
the
very
important
cool.
thing.
I like it. There's the bridge and the mill. The Green Dragon Inn. These thatched roofs down through here. The mill. Fun. That's fun. Yeah, this has got to be Bag End is right underneath that. So, let's see if it swings us around. Yeah, you don't see much different vantage. Well, there you go. That's fun, huh?
Very
all right.
cool. All right, my friend. Well, listen, I'm going
That's all I
to
got.
I'm going to wrap up my yap flapping and go get some stuff done. I had a great time as always. It's nice to talk about all these amazing things and then just ponder them, right?
Yeah, I know. That's what it does to me. And I've started making a list of a lot of these things of this nature that I want us to get into on this show. And I'm starting to dig into some things that are really fun, like that time travel story I told you about, and some of the other stories, things that I'm running into that are really incredible. And but yeah, looking into this dark side of the moon stuff, folks. We listen to this stuff and then we go on and we do our stuff and go back to our day jobs. And but this is stuff that's out there. It's out there, and the question is there: are there aliens watching us? So something to think about.
Yeah, one of the greatest mistakes is not questioning something.
Yeah,
including whatever it is you think that, and even you, if you're not questioning, self-examination, you're gonna get bumped around and just stumble into shit that'll make your head spin, and you'll have a hard time holding on while you're getting overrun by all this stuff, and you're going bing bing, trying to parry it off. Got to drop that bubble in, let it all bounce off, but exploring some of the things that are just really profound, like time travel, the astral projection, and the remote viewing aspect. That's some fascinating subject matter.
Yeah, it is.
And it has, I think, some profound implications, not only now, but what we're going to be seeing around the other side of the hooey we're stepping through now.
Yes. Sean Stroke said I'm all in. So hey, what do you have the gong back there for?
Oh, I got tired of it sitting and leaning against the wall, and I finally got the stand out, and it's a Chinese wind chime.
Can you make some sound for us on your exit?
I don't have my mallet with me. I just found it, and I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put it up. But yeah, it's
next time.
I'll bring it in next time.
Right on. All right, Professor. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You have a good night.
Appreciate it.
See you later, brother. All right, folks. That's it. We're going to get out of here. That was a kind of a odd, weird captain's cabin because we were on topic for a little bit, and then we went into looking at pictures and Google Earth and stuff. It's a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed your time here. Very casual here. If you haven't been here before, folks, anybody watching, it's casual. This is not the radio show. So we try to get Uncle Dave in. We'll get him back hopefully tomorrow night. So Rainey leaves for camp now with the 10-year-old. Rowan just got back from camp with her friend, and now she's going tomorrow with Rainey for the weekend to scout camp. Then Rainey leaves on Tuesday for Alaska with Flynn. So she's got a busy summer. And so that's all I got, folks. So for tonight, let's get out of here. I hope you all have a good night. And as always, you know what? Live long and prosper.